Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, and I got a bench full of car parts, which means it is time to get back to work on the Miata. If you remember from my last video, I was actually able to get this thing started. I completed the head gasket and top end rebuild. I've got the new lifters in, new timing belt, new covers for the timing belt. I have new fuel injectors. I've redone all of the wiring for the fuel injector wires, as well as the main harness out to the cam angle sensor. I have rewired the oxygen sensor, so everything works. It's started up and it ran for a few seconds. I am waiting on a new mass airflow sensor. This car pretty much has a new everything, just about. Let's take a look at the new parts so far. You see here, I've got the air conditioning condenser. I've got the new dryer, and I opted for the, I don't know, aluminum stainless steel just because I thought it looked cool. I might try to polish that up a little bit just for fun. I've got new lines for the power steering. I've already paid for my power steering rack to be rebuilt. I have to package that up and ship it off to the rebuilder. I have not yet put hose clamps on the radiator hoses, and that's because I seem to keep buying the wrong sizes. So you see I've got like an array of different size hose clamps, and instead of returning them, I thought, well, maybe I'll keep them around because I'm sure I'll use them at some point. The air conditioning compressor, I'm going to replace this. This is pretty sure it's no good. I mean, I just don't have any faith in it. So I'm buying one. I believe it's from either Napa or Advanced Auto Parts. Has one in stock, and it comes pre-filled with PAG oil. I've ordered some PAG oil so that I can replace all of the seals, and these are the new valves to put in when I rebuild the air conditioning lines. The air conditioning lines themselves look fine. They just want to put in new seals and valves to make sure that the R134 Freon doesn't leak out as soon as I put it in there. I still haven't rotated that around. I'm not in a terrible hurry to do that. Next up, I will probably begin mounting the condenser and the radiator, because if I can put that together, that actually is kind of a linchpin to putting a whole bunch of other things back together. Because then I can start to route more hoses, I can start to put the front end together. The steering rack is pretty much out of the way of all that. The only thing the steering rack is going to block is the paneling underneath the body, like the splash guard up here. So that's not really a concern. So as you can see, there's still a lot of things that I need to acquire for this car, and it's kind of going to cost a lot more money. But there is still plenty I can do in the meantime, so I'm just going to get straight to work. The first order of business for today is to prepare the steering rack and send it off to Cordone for a rebuild. Interesting story. I was actually at AutoZone yesterday picking up the mass airflow sensor for this car, and I saw a rebuilt steering rack sitting on the bench at AutoZone. And guess who the rebuilder was? It was Cordone. It's funny how I can't send this steering rack through AutoZone to get rebuilt by Cordone, but I can send it through Rock Auto to get rebuilt by Cordone. Either way, the shitty thing is that I have to mail this off, wait for it to get rebuilt, and then wait for it to get mailed back. So that's why this is the first thing that I'm doing in this leg of the project. Do you want to know why I hate shipping things? This is why I hate shipping things. I never have the right size box, so I always end up having to cannibalize another box, and in this case, it was one that was sitting outside for several months, so it was obviously full of spiders and carried with it half of the Angeles National Forest, so I had to sweep out my garage 75 times, and I'm probably covered in spider bites now. But it's done. I used more duct tape than box, but it's done. And I can ship this thing off today and hopefully get it back sometime in the next 50 years. $60 for shipping. AutoZone, what the hell? $60 I wouldn't have had to pay if AutoZone had supplied it. But, oh well. What kind of idiot polishes the dryer for their air conditioner? I'll tell you what kind of idiot polishes the dryer for their air conditioner. This idiot polishes the dryer for their air conditioner. I got both the radiator, I have the AC condenser, and the dryer all installed. God, I hope this is the right direction that this is supposed to go. Somebody please comment before I charge up this AC system and ruin it. Or don't. Maybe I'll just ruin it like I ruined everything. I might mask this off and try to repaint this piece of crap just so it doesn't look so bad. Because this looks rough. Radiator's back in. I'm probably going to continue going through the air conditioning system and replacing the seals. I'm waiting on a couple of things, waiting to do a couple of things, and really just don't feel like getting my hands too dirty. I do have this radiator hose clamped on. I finally got the clamps that I needed. This hose, I don't really like that bend, but it'll flow coolant well enough, at least for a while. So if it becomes a problem, I'll address it then. Those are connected. This car's really, really coming together. Well, the steering rack arrived. And it looks like they did a very nice job with it. Well prepped. Everything's all marked off so that I don't void the warranty. Looks like it's pre-charged and, you know, ready to go. So I am going to put this in first by the little brackets and bushings. Then I will connect the tie rod ends. And then I'll connect the lines last, because the lines are capped off so that no fluid comes out. And I don't really want to be wrestling with this thing with the lines opened up, because then I'll lose the fluid that's in the rack. This is where it connects to the steering shaft, and there's a little warning of, you know, don't fuck it up. Well, I thought this was going to be easy, but it turns out nothing in life is easy. There is one bolt. That one right there. I cannot get an angle on that. Because this bracket's in the way. And that bracket's not going anywhere. I pulled the bolts out, and I tried to pull it off, and it won't go anywhere. So I think my plan is going to be as follows. I am going to detach the motor mounts and lift the motor up so I can hopefully get enough space to navigate that bolt head. Well, naturally, the bolt hole is stripped. So I ordered a tap and die kit for metric because I apparently had this weird mixed tap and die kit for standard and metric, and it had pretty much nothing that I needed. So let me put this in my vise here. I use this little tool to measure it out the threads of the bolts that I took out. It's got an array of these little teeth here, and you match the teeth up to the threads to find out exactly what size you're working with. And in my case, it was 1.25. And in order to correct the threads on the bolt, I used that size, 1.25 by M10. And not only was I able to correct the threads, but I confirmed that this is the size that I needed to fix the threads on the steering rack. That was fun. The tools that came with the kit weren't working. So this fits now, but it did not fit when the tool was just getting started. So I couldn't use this. I couldn't use this because it hit the oil pan. So I had to use trusty old crescent wrench, and that did the job. So I got this thing threaded down. I got the threads corrected. I'm going to take this opportunity to clean up all of this grime here before I put the steering rack back in. Well, we got steering. I got the new rack in, new tie rod ends. Everything's all bolted up. The hoses are bolted up. Everything's all secure. New hoses everywhere. I don't think this is new, but it wasn't leaking, and it was very expensive, so that's fine. The pump was fine, so I left it for now. Everything's filled up. There is fluid. It's hard to see there, but trust me, take my word for it, it's there. I cannot run power steering yet because I made a really dumbass mistake, and I'll show you right now. So I went, because I'm not doing air conditioning for a while until I can afford a compressor. You know, I'll eventually do it, but not now. I decided I'd get a shorter belt that is for just power steering. But you see here, you see that hose? Yeah, this hose is supposed to go into this little bracket here, which means I cut this hose too short because this hose isn't going to go over there. It's just too short. I can't get it out of the way. So I get to cut a new hose, and I might not have enough to go around. So I'm going to have to go get more. Got the belts on, both the alternator and the power steering without air conditioning. I am a little bit concerned about leakage because I see some wetness down on that lower hose there. It's a little hard to capture with the light, but it is filled with fluid. I did have some loose connections while I was putting it together, so this may have just been runoff from that. The only way to really find out is to run the damn thing and see what happens. So I got the battery hooked up and ready to start this car. And also, because nothing is easy, that upper radiator hose is on order from AutoZone, so I won't get it till tomorrow. So I can't check that for leaks until tomorrow, but I can still run it for hopefully long enough to check the steering system. Let's give this a try. Okay, I probably want to kill it now. Things were spinning, things were working. I don't see any leaks so far. So that's good. Might have actually fixed something for a change. Wow, that feels good. That feels really good to say. Alright, next up, we're going to try to burp this system. So I'm going to sit in the car while it runs. I'm going to turn the wheels back and forth a few times. And see if that changes, see if that forces out any of the air that might be in the system. I'm going to have to do this a little more extensively once I actually have cooling. But for now, this will get the party started. Yeah, I don't want the engine to warm up too hot. I think it's hot enough. And that's just crap burning off of the headers. Nothing to really worry about. Motor's still cold to the touch. Alright, so what do we got going on here? No leaks. The box that I just put under there has no spots in it, so that's good. Let's check the... Let's get the damn headphones caught in the car again. And let's check the dipstick. It's probably going to be low. Let's see what we got here. Yep, it's low. Good. That's expected. So I'm going to top it off, probably do this one more time, and then hold off on running the car anymore until I can do a leak down check on the cooling system, and then fill it with coolant. Well, I'm going to call it a day. I got a lot of money left to spend on this car. Don't ever buy a car on Facebook Marketplace. But on the bright side, I got a lot done. I got the steering system working. I've got started on the brakes, at least on the front. I still got to take off the rear. But I got some other things to do. So maybe next week I'll make a lot more progress. I'll get this car a lot closer to being on the ground. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.